There really is a hidden secret to making 6 and 7 figures, and you're never going to hear this from anybody else. Are you ready to make more money than you've ever made before? Then get ready, because we're going to dive deep, and I'm going to show you how to eat the elephant.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
This is the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with Vincent Polisi. Buckle your seatbelt and prepare to learn how to legally make 6 figures investing in real estate with no money, no credit check, and nothing but a computer and internet connection. Learn how you too can begin generating buyers and sellers for free today, and why you're only 2 calls away from making a $10,000 or more payday while never leaving the comfort of your home. And now, your host, the virtual real estate investor, Vincent Polisi.
All right, guys, here we go. Ever there was a topic and a subject that should be taught in every school in America, this is it. What am I talking about? How to eat an elephant. Unfortunately, they don't teach this stuff in school or even in higher education, to my knowledge. It is the single most important thing that you should be taught in order to attain success in anything, whether it's physical fitness, business, anything. Once you understand how to eat the elephant, you'll understand exactly what I mean. What you're going to get to hear is an actual live webinar recording that we did that explains how to immediately double and triple your income if you'll simply follow the steps. Unfortunately, most of you won't, and you'll be in the exact same place you are at the same time next year, if not worse. Those of you that will follow it, which is generally about 20% of the people that listen, will make more money than you've ever made before. As you'll get to hear, the very first person that I ever taught this to had never made more than $5,000 in a single month. Following this plan, the very first month he followed the plan, he made $12,000. The second month he followed the plan, he made $18,000. And the third month that he followed the plan, he made $30,000. Same guy, a new plan. A plan he followed.
Hey, what's up, investors? John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of Entrepreneur on Fire, awarded Best of iTunes 2013, and you're listening to the Virtual Real Estate Investor Podcast with my man, Vincent Polisi. Prepare to ignite.
Everybody better sit down and cover their butts, because Vincent's on a rampage. His foot is getting twitchy, and here comes another segment of his world-famous Butt Meat Boot Coaching.
Show you how this works. The biggest challenge that most people have, especially if they haven't ever made 6 figures before, is it's called eating the elephant. The problem with eating an elephant is that it's a very large creature, and your brain has a hard time, if you've never done this before, wrapping itself around how you're going to go from making 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a year to over 100 and how to do it consistently. The biggest thing that people struggle with, unfortunately, is they can't get their brain around how they can do that. And so the first thing that you have to do is you have to break this thing down and answer the question of how do you eat an elephant? Does anybody know how you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. So that's what we're going to do. Let me show you how this works. So let's use a figure, and we've done this for some of the coaching clients before, but we'll make it simplified math. So if we take and we say, okay, we want to make $100,000 a year. That's a big number. A lot of people have never made that before. They don't know how to make that. They don't know how to get to that point. And so we're going to bracket this thing down to exactly what you have to do on a daily basis. So if we take that and we divide that by 12, what does that become? It becomes $83.33 per month. If we're taking a look at the average revenue per transaction that normally comes in, for me it has run on average, and you guys are hitting some higher numbers than I normally average, but for me on average it's averaged right around about $8,000 per transaction. So if I say, okay, how many deals do I have to do to make this $83.33 a month? We could effectively say that I would have to essentially do 1 deal per month on average to make the $83.33. And we say, okay, now we have to break that down even further, because getting 1 deal or making 1 deal happen, there are certain things that have to happen in order for that to be the case. So let's break it down one more time. To get 1 deal done, you probably are going to need on average somewhere between 2 and 4 properties in standing inventory. And the reason for that is because you're going to have churn. You're going to have properties that you don't sell. You're going to have properties where the owner of the property will rent it or sell it before you have an opportunity to get somebody in there. But those 2 to 4 properties will be driving in buyers, and those buyers you can take and you can convert to another house. If we say that on average we're going to need 2 to 4 homes per month, it's really probably 2 is probably enough. But let's just say we'll go with 4 just to be on the safe side and hedge our bets. What do we have to do to get those 4 homes per month in inventory? Well, we're going to break it down one more step. You guys are doing the 10-minute task now. You should have all of your own metrics and your own conversions on how many 10-minute tasks you have to do before you get somebody that wants to do a contract, how many contracts go out, before you get one that wants to be signed. But let's just say that it's at a rate of approximately, you should be getting back no less than, honestly, if you've done your job right, no less than about 80% of the contracts that you send out. But let's hedge on this, and let's just say it's going to be 50%. So if we say that your closing ratio right now is only 50% of the contracts that are sent out, then how many contracts do you have to send out? Well, you have to send out 8 contracts, right? So to get to the point where you have 8 people that say, yes, let's proceed, how many people do you have to talk to on the phone to get to the point where you have 8 that say they want 8 contracts? Now, everybody's numbers are going to be a little bit different, but let's say you're starting out and you're having a little trouble, you're struggling. Let's just say we'll break out everything on a 50% ratio, okay? That means that's the average. I mean, it's like flipping a coin. It's going to come up heads half the time and tails half the time. So if you did nothing other than what the average person does, we'll just say you have a 50% closing ratio. You've got to get to 8 contracts sent to get to 4. That means that you're going to need to talk to 16 sellers in a month. So if we break that down one more time, we say, okay, well, what is it going to take to get 16 sellers that I can speak to that they've expressed an interest in what it is that we're doing? And I'm going to let you guys answer that. We'll make this interactive. If you've got a microphone on your computer, you can talk, or if you're on the phone, you can go ahead and talk. What would you guys say is the number of people that you have to email, text message, etc., to get 16 sellers that want to move forward with a conversation that they've expressed interest?
I'm going to say maybe 30, 40.
40.
Okay, 40. All right, so we'll say 40. So you have to speak to 40 to get 16 that want to move forward. Is that what you're saying? Or you have to contact 40 to get to 16 that want to move forward?
Contact.
Okay, so if you send out 40 text messages or 40 emails, you're saying then that your conversion rate, what is that, about 40%? You'd have a 40% response rate of people that say, yes, let's talk, I'm interested in what you have to say. Is that fair? Or is it not that much?
It's not that much.
Okay. Who is, if you would, tell everybody who you are when you talk so they know who they're talking to. Who said that?
That was Eric. That's me.
Okay. All right. So what would you say your response rate is, Eric?
I'd
Let's
say
use
probably
yours.
if I send out 20 texts and emails, I'll probably get four, 5 that respond with a yes and want to know more. So I'd say 25, 30%.
Okay. Let's use that then. We'll use actual live numbers. So we'll say 25% of what you send out, right? So 16, 32. So you would need to send out 64.
That's
right?
about
How
right, yeah.
many?
Yeah, 64 texts and emails, okay, to get to 16 that say, let's talk, to say that you're only going to close half of those, right? Or let me rephrase that, you're going to send out contracts to half of those, and of those half, only 50% are going to actually execute the agreement and move forward. I mean, these are very conservative numbers, okay? And these numbers will increase over time as you improve your closing ability. Does that make sense? And when I say closing ability, I'm talking about your ability to drop the hammer on somebody on the phone like you hear me do in some of these calls, okay? And get
I went
to
3
a
for 3.
yes. So if we...
I said I went 3 for
What's
3
that?
today, so yeah, that's correct. As you get better,
Okay, yeah, and you may go 0 for 3 tomorrow. I mean, I'm not wishing that on you, but I'm just saying it's a numbers game, and it's the law of averages that you're going to have to run through. So let's just say that we're here, and let's say you guys have to send out 64 emails and texts. And how long? I mean, let's be realistic. How long does that take you? An hour? 2 hours max? Is that right?
I probably get about 20 in an hour.
Anybody?
that's 64 in a month.
Why is it taking
Remember,
you so
that's
long to get
64
20?
in
Are you
1 month,
really
so,
scrutinizing what you're doing?
That's 10 minutes a day. There you go.
Yeah, it's 64 in a month. Okay, that's not even. I mean, you're talking about something that you would actually normally accomplish. Probably a lot of you guys are doing more than this now, and the challenge is that you're not closing some of these. So your closing skills just need work. That's all, and so you're not closing them at the right ratios or whatever. But if you bracket this down, then what happens is you get to a point where you get the 16 sellers on the month. In the month that have expressed interest, 8 say they want to move forward with a contract. Of that 8, say 50% of them actually execute the agreement. That would be 4 contracts. On those 4 contracts, you're going to generate probably, I would say, on average, 6 to 10 buyers per week, okay, based on the marketing, which is overload. It's a ton, especially if you're running 4. So let's just say you're running 4 houses and you had 6 to 10 buyer inquiries per week. Those are not always, obviously, not all going to pan out. Then you've got all the numbers right here on how to break this thing out. Because all we're trying to get to in this example is $83.33 a month. That's like one deal. That's why you're going after the 300,000 plus price point. You only need 1 of those on a monthly basis, or if we're doing a JV deal, you need 2, and that's why we have the numbers here showing what there are. Now, so the key thing here becomes looking at exactly what it is that you have to do on a daily basis so that you can ensure that you're contacting this many people per month to get them to move forward. And if these numbers aren't accurate for you, they may not be accurate for everybody because everybody's going to be at a different skill level with their closing ratio. But what you need to do is take a look at what your actual closing ratio is now. How many texts and emails are you sending out? How many yes replies for more information are coming back? Of those, how many are you getting to a point where they say, yes, let's move forward with a contract? Figure out what your own numbers are so that you can plug this math into your own thing. And then you'll be able to back into exactly what you have to do on a daily basis to get to, the objective, the goal up here of 100,000 a year. If that's your objective, it may be 200, maybe 400. I don't know where you're at, but that's exactly how you do it. And the key thing here is this, that most people on a daily basis, they wake up and the day runs them. They don't run the day. They have no structured plan on what they're doing. They don't have a goal. They don't know what they're working for. And if you don't have, how many, I'll tell you what, let's do a show of hands here. How many of you guys actually have written goals? Actual written goals with an action plan on how you're going to get there?
I do,
Anybody?
but it needs work.
What's that?
I do, but I think that it needs work. Maybe a little bit more detailed, precise, like this, exactly broken down specifically.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I'm showing this, okay? Because if you don't know what you have to do when your feet hit the floor in the morning, how are you ever going to make this kind of money?
Amen.
All right? All right, so first, let's define what's your goal, right? Everybody write this down. What's your goal? What are you trying to get to? What's the number? You got a magic number, something that you'd like to achieve. Is it 100,000? Is it 200,000? Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? What is that number? Figure out the goal. And then we're going to take and we're going to break that down into bite-sized pieces so that we can understand what your daily action plan needs to be to get there, okay? Because you got to understand something. And listen to what I'm telling you because I've been doing this stuff for years, all right? It's a numbers game. And the key here is you have to understand what the numbers are and take action on those numbers. So when you bracket this thing out and you figure out what your goal is, and you're going to divide that out by the number of months, and then you're going to divide that out by the number of weeks, and then you're going to say, okay, to make that amount of money, I have to do X number of deals to get there. To get that X number of deals, I have to talk to X number of sellers to get X number of properties, because you're going to have churn. You're going to sell houses. Houses are going to go away because they get sold by somebody else. So you want to hedge there a little bit and make sure that you're being a little bit conservative so you don't get disappointed. But here's the key thing, okay? And I told you guys this in the post that I did. The biggest thing is this, all right? The guy that I first started this with many, many years ago, he was in the mortgage business, and he came to me. He'd never made more than $60,000 in a year. Real nice guy. He is John. He's probably the personification of John. Very nice, very mellow, not a jerk like I am. And he was extremely, extremely analytical. He was not the best salesperson or closer. And the reason that he was able to be so successful and the reason that he was able to make more money than people that were better closers than he was because what he did have is if I set him in motion and I gave him a plan of attack, this is exactly what you have to do. He's the type of guy that would follow that on a daily basis and not deviate, like a robot. He was like a machine. And so when he started doing this, and he broke it out, he said, okay, we broke out his whole thing and figured out exactly how many people he had to talk to, what his conversion rate was, etc. He came up with his number, and he ended up in the very first month making, $12,000. Never before made that in his life. His reach goal, his stretch goal was 100. And so he makes $12,000 the first month. And he says, wow, this is working. I remember like it was yesterday, him standing in my office with this big grin on his face because he hadn't told his wife. And he's like, he just can't wait till tomorrow morning when she looks at the direct deposit because she's going to think something's wrong because he's never made any kind of money like that before. She wasn't sure, she had no expectation that he was ever going to do anything like that. To go from no more than 5,000 in a month to 12, what happened? Well, then he follows it back up the next month, 18 grand, and then the next month after that was 30,000. But here's the thing. You gotta understand, this is before Facebook, so he wasn't screwing around on Facebook all day long. The thing was, he had a plan, he had a goal, he had it broken down to exactly what he had to do on a daily basis. And as long as he did what he knew he had to do each and every day, guess what? It can't work any other way. They're your numbers. The numbers don't lie, okay? The only thing that lies is you if you don't do what you say you're going to do and make a commitment to your goal and to working your daily action plan, all right? So if you guys don't have a goal, you need to stop everything you're doing and say, what are you doing? Why are you working? What's the objective? Is it just to survive day to day? Is that what you want to do? That's not what I want to do. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. This isn't survival. This is thrival. We want to thrive. We want to get ahead. You want abundance. The problem is if you don't get your mind in tune with where it is you're trying to go, you will never get there, okay? And before I even asked anybody how many of you guys had written out goals and action plans and a daily broken out of exactly what you had to do, I already know what the statistics are. Would you guys like to know what they are? Because Harvard actually did a study on this, all right? If I can find it, I'll post it and show it to you. 97% of the population does not have written goals, nor do they have action plans. Only 3% of the population has a written goal and an action plan. Now, here's the interesting statistic. You guys are going to love this. Those 3% control 97% of the wealth on the planet. So, do you see the importance in what we're talking about here? You've got to get your mind focused on what the goal is and bracket out that goal to a bite-sized portion, because your brain cannot figure out, your brain has to go through a process, okay? This is psychologists have proven all this stuff, how this actually works. Your brain has to be able to connect the dots. It has to be able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And if you don't give it that opportunity and you don't work through things like this, all you have is a hope, a pipe dream, and a wish, and you'll never get anywhere, okay? The biggest thing here is, like, we took a guy like John, who is not a closer like I am in the same sense, and by putting him in motion on the railroad track and giving him something he had to do every single day, he was able to outperform anything he'd ever done before in his life and a majority of the remainder of the salespeople. Okay? So we've got some other people that it looks like they're joining right now, so let me go through, see if I can go through this again real quick for everybody, and write this down for yourself. First, figure out what your stretch goal is. What is it that you want to make? Okay? For some of you, it's 100,000. For some of you, it's 1 million. Whatever that number is, this is your elephant. We're going to figure out how to eat the elephant. So on 100,000, that's $83.33 per month. When you're bracketing out how many deals you have to do for that, should be no more than one. Okay, but you're going to have fallout. You're going to have, when you have pipelines, you're going to have fallout. You're going to have deals that don't go through. You're going to have all kinds of stuff. So you need to be focused really on, in all honesty, on probably closing 2 deals a month at a minimum, or if you're doing joint ventures, 4 deals a month, and then bracket your numbers out accordingly so that you can determine how many sellers do you need to talk to get to, 2 homes that you actually sell, or 4 homes that you actually sell in a given month. And this, again, like I said, this is bracketing in with fallout. So we just went through the math. You know exactly, take your conversion rates on the 10-minute task and say, okay, I talked to, or let me rephrase that, I sent out 20 texts and emails today. How many of those came back with a yes response? And you guys are saying, okay, let's say it's 25%. Okay, so we have to break this thing down all the way so you know exactly, without equivocation, you know exactly what you have to do each and every day. So if you're only getting a 25% response rate that says, yes, I want to talk to you, which is fine, because you don't need that many deals. You don't need that many. Who's got a siren going on? You don't need that many deals in a given month to make the kind of money that you're looking to make here if you're only trying to make 100,000. Okay, it's one deal a month. There's no reason that you can't do that. I can average more than one contract on my website of people I've never actually people I've never even spoken with. Okay, so it's not really that much of a stretch goal to be able to do that. So if you break this thing down and you say, okay, I've only got a 25% response rate, and of that 25% response rate, I'm only converting 50% of those to want to move forward with a contract. Okay, and you need 4 in a month. That means that you need to get to 8 contracts submitted, so that breaks out to 4 contracts signed. And of those 4 contracts signed, you're not going to sell them all, so let's just say you sell 2. All right? That'll drive in the buyers with cash, and that is how you get to this number. But you have to understand what these numbers are for your business. I know what they are for mine, based on my closing ratio and my conversion rates. You have to understand what they are for yours. It's going to be different for everybody because everybody has a different conversion rate. They have a different goal. They have different objectives that they're trying to accomplish on a monthly basis. So does everybody see and understand how this works? Do you see the value in this, in knowing every morning when you get up to reach whatever this number is up here, you've got it broken out into a little bite-sized portion that, hey, I just need to send out 20 texts and emails today. I need to read some books on sales conversion so I can polish up and work. And if the numbers aren't working out, that's the other thing that you can do. So you can adjust this very easily by simply improving your sales closing skills, okay? And that's why you guys have to start working on that stuff every single day. You need to be reading, just pounding with information. Podcasts, Brian Tracy, get his podcast, get his books. This guy is a master closer, okay? This guy can close anybody. Absorb all of that information. Absorb all of his closing techniques, because that's where I got all of mine from. I didn't invent any of this stuff. I'd say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I need to learn who's doing it, who's the best. And there's other guys that are out there. There's that was that guy's name, Grant Cardone. I mean, there's other people out there that can sell and close, and figure out somebody who has your style. Listen to them. Listen to their closing techniques. I mean, sales is all about psychology and understanding, the personality type that you're dealing with, and then what the best method is on leading them down the path of where they already want to go. And everybody's going to be different, but you need to understand that stuff about the 4 different buying personalities, how to adjust it to each one of them when you're on the phone, how to trial close. It's as simple as something like this when you're on the phone with somebody, because I don't like to waste time. And until you guys get to the point that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're tired of wasting time with people who lie to you and who pull the getaway, until you get to that point, you will never close. You'll just continue entertaining people on the phone for free.
That's funny.
I don't think anybody wants to do that. Is that what you guys want to do? You want to entertain people on the phone for free? Because they'll let you do it all day long, and you'll never make a dime. So you've got to get to the point where you're comfortable enough in your own skin to simply ask a simple, justifiable question. Mr. Seller, I'm happy to send you the contract for your review today. If you get it today and everything looks satisfactory, when can I expect it back signed? That's a fair question, isn't it? But I bet most of you are not doing that. And what that'll do is that will vet out whether or not you have somebody who's serious or they're pulling a getaway asking for additional information. And you need to understand what it is that they're doing, okay? I did, and the coaching class yesterday got to hear me do that exact same close with one of Liz's clients. And I asked the guy the question, and I said, hey, if I get this to you this afternoon, when can I expect it back? And he came back and he said, well, I won't be back until tonight. So it will be sometime tomorrow at the earliest. Somebody who has kids needs to mute out. A little too much total transparency going on today. But at any rate, so it's a very simple question. The guy says, hey, I'm working until tonight. I won't be able to look at it until tomorrow. And at the earliest you'll have it will be tomorrow. Okay, that's fair. He didn't try to pull some other type of getaway. Is that a question you guys think you can ask? Anybody?
That didn't come through. Can you hear me? This is Efren from California. How we doing? I'm all right.
Good, man. How you doing?
I had, that broker that was supposed to talk. I was supposed to talk to him this morning, and it ended up not being the seller. He was a mortgage. He was the associate broker on this deal. It was an $800,000 residential property, and before I got to the seller, I had to go to the realtor. The realtor took me to the associate broker. So, I didn't get shot down, but at least I felt confident enough to, initiate a conversation with the broker, and he had no qualms about, what I offered him, because I listened to every one of your phone calls. I broke it all down between Finance the Dream. I told him, check us out online. We do credit repair. We get committed buyers, whatnot. So I set the whole script up, and he was fine. So, I didn't lock it up. I could ask him, hey, I'm going to send you the contract, whatnot, because I still had to go through him. So he's going to at least present it to the seller. So, I got through the 2 steps of the realtor, the broker, and the next step is the seller. Hopefully, they'll come on board with us. But, to me, like Vincent says, once you make the phone call, you're not going to have all the answers to all the questions that the seller's going to have. But at least try and put yourself out there so that you have that practice, because the next time you make that phone call, you'll have that answer. And that's what I did, and I felt pretty comfortable doing it.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, you have to fail fast, okay? If you want to be successful, you've got to learn very quickly what works and what doesn't work. And if you're in a state that permits one-party recording, I highly advise recording your calls so you can play them back and listen to them. So you can hear where you're fumbling, you can hear what they hit you with, and all of a sudden you'll start connecting the dots that, okay, the next time somebody asks me that, I know exactly how to come back to get through that objection.
Yeah, he didn't have any questions for me. He knew exactly what I was trying to do. He just doesn't know if the seller would be up for it. So he's going to speak on my behalf, and then if they're on board, then we do a conference call and get it done.
Yeah, and see, the challenge you've got is that
This wasn't a Facebook
What's
thing.
that?
I didn't even do the 10-minute task.
Wow, that's great. The challenge that you've got is that you're being a licensed realtor. You're dealing with some extra hurdles there, especially with other realtors involved, so you don't get have a problem with circumvention and procuring cause.
I agree to speak to a broker, and we moved it forward to there. And I explained to them, I'm not trying to cut you guys out of a deal. This is non-exclusive. You guys still have the listing contract. He understood all of that stuff. So he's up for it. As long as he makes a sale, he don't really care.
Yeah, of course not.
So,
all right, so guys, listen. Let me help you out here, if I may. Okay, I can sit here and I can give you information on how to help you and how to help you make 6 figures starting today, all day long. The problem is, unless you take action and you take immediate action and you don't blow this off as some other motivational nonsense, you're never going to do anything. So you got to take action on this now, okay? If you don't have a written goal, you just heard what I told you. Harvard University did a study. 97% of the population does not have written goals, nor do they have action plans. Only 3% do, and those 3% control 97% of the wealth on the planet. So you do the math. Which portion of the pie do you want to be on? The 97% side or the 3% side? I know which side I want to be on. So here's the problem. Okay, if you guys are looking at my screen right now, you can see all these people that are on this webinar. Here's the sad thing. I'm going to tell you what the sad thing is, unfortunately. The sad thing is that the majority of these people will not do what I just bracketed out for you in less than 5 minutes. They will not take the time to sit down and write a goal and break it down to a daily basis of exactly what they need to do to achieve that goal. And as a result, they will never accomplish that goal. And I'm not saying that to speak evil or negative on people, but the way the numbers work and the way the ratios work, the averages are that of all the people on this call, I don't know how many there are, but there's a bunch of them, most of you simply won't do it. I mean, you're just not going to do it. And then you're going to complain, a year from now that you didn't make what you wanted to make. And it's the same vicious cycle over and over and over again because, again, everything worthwhile in life is hard. It takes action. You have to work. Most people don't want to do that. So here's my challenge to you, okay? I would like very much, and I'll count how many people were on this thing. If you find what I'm doing and my time valuable in sharing this stuff with you, I would like very much for you guys to commit to taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes maximum to plan out the next 12 months and bracket it out on exactly what you need to do on a daily basis. And this works for everything. It just doesn't have to do with income. If you want to get in shape, it's the same thing. If you want to, anything that you want to accomplish, it's the exact same thing. You have to be moving forward and taking action, but it has to be done in a fashion that your brain can get its grasp around it. Your brain cannot get its grasp around making $1 million a year. Okay? It needs a path, a breadcrumb path on how to get there. So you must give it the breadcrumbs to follow on exactly what has to happen to get to that $1 million a year, or the 100,000, or for some of you, 50,000. Whatever your number is, it's okay. I advise stretching a little bit, but you can break this stuff out. And the beauty of this, the way this thing works is this. You cannot fail. If you do this, I have never once, ever, in the 15 years I've been showing this to people, ever had anybody come to me and say, hey, Vincent, I did exactly what you said, and you know what? It didn't work. I didn't make the money that I set out to. What happens is this. Because you get the forward momentum going, and you have a goal, and you activate all the powers of the universe in the direction of that goal on a daily basis, the average person ends up achieving their goal within 6 months. Not 12 months, 6 months. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you understand how if you got moving forward on a daily basis with a definable action plan on exactly how to achieve your goal, the numbers don't lie. They can't. It can only work. It can only work one way, okay? And that's the way that you bracket it out with your numbers if your numbers are accurate. It cannot work any other way, okay? So if you guys do that, here's what I would ask you to do, okay? Make a commitment to yourself, and then once you've done this, go on the Facebook group and post that you made a commitment to yourself. And that you completed that action plan and you have a goal now for the year and you know exactly what to do. You guys need some accountability, okay? You need something other than you wake up and, oh, I think I'll do this and I think I'll do that. You need to understand what it is exactly you have to do on a daily basis to get there. Otherwise, you're not serious. You're like all the rest of these people. Is that who you want to be? You want to be like the masses that are out there that are slaving away day in, day out? What do you guys call it? You got the JOB, just over broke? Is that what you want? Because those people don't have goals. Okay? They don't have action plans. They got nothing. They got a pipe dream, they got a 6-pack of beer, and a cable TV. All right? And that's all they want. So you can decide to be like those, or you can decide to be like the 3%. And the only way you're ever going to be like the 3% is if you actually write these goals out. And it's not just having a goal. You've got to have the day-to-day action plan on exactly how you're going to get there so your brain can make that happen. And it will. It absolutely will, as long as you do the plan. It's like the guy I was telling you about that was like John. The reason he was able to do it is because he had the ability, the discipline, Okay, that's a big word that nobody likes. The discipline on a daily basis to work the plan. And guys like me, okay, the crazy maniacs, all the other salespeople that were there, there was some very good closers and all that. They don't have that same discipline. I mean, it's a struggle for a lot of people to have discipline to do a daily, task list. I struggle with it every day. I mean, I do. I mean, even now, knowing what I know, I still struggle with it. So the key thing is, though, is that if you don't do this, you'll never get where you want to be.
The issue here is also the fact that you have to close on the phone. That is where many people have difficulty. A lot of us are, who've been in sales, are more comfortable closing face to face. When you're closing on the phone, it takes, that's what takes experience, and that's where you're the master at. You close them, bang, you get them done, and that's it. And where we need, because I was in sales, but I was in face-to-face sales. I was in sales of a different kind where, I met the people, multiple meetings, you spoke to VPs and did all that stuff. So it was a long process. This is like, bang, you go in, you close them, and you move on.
I agree. If you listen, you think I just think I'm good on the phone, you ought to see me in person. Who has of all the people on here, who hit me on the chat bar on the right-hand side, who actually has a piece of paper out right now and is actually writing out what their goals are? At least the number at the top of the page. How many of you have done that if you're not driving?
I'm driving, so... But I'd like to see that on an Excel spreadsheet if you're going to do that, so that way the goals I can readjust. Let's say if I wanted 100,000, and then it'll auto-populate how many of those texts and emails need to be sent out. If I want to make 200, then it'll auto-populate that. Are you going to have
You
that?
can't, because it varies according to the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but Efren's right. Efren's right. All you have to do is put in your closing ratios. I mean, I'm not the spreadsheet whiz, but I know somebody out there, one of you analyticals can do it fairly easily, where you can put it in and have this thing bracket down based on a variable of your closing ratio on the phone, what it is now, and then you take a look at that and you say, okay, I start working on my closing skills and listen to Brian Tracy and Grant Cardone and Zig Ziglar and all these other guys and figure out how to close. Okay? And we could have a spreadsheet put together for everybody, okay? I mean, I like doing it by hand on a piece of paper because there's something, I don't know, they've proven psychologically that when you put pen to paper and it's the manual task of doing that versus a computer that there's some connection, synapses fire or something. So I like doing it on a legal pad personally. You guys can do it anyway. It doesn't matter how you do it as long as it works and as long as it's something that you're going to stick to. But I would, venture a guess that, like I said, 97% of the people that are on this webinar do not have any type of a written goal or daily action plan. They just get up and it's like being a ship lost at sea. They're taken wherever the waves take them on a daily basis. Can't do that, okay? Not if you want to be successful. So at any rate, how many of you are going to commit? How many of you are going to do this? Tell the truth. It doesn't matter to me. I already know what I'm doing. But it should matter to you, and it damn sure matters to your families, okay? All right? So break those things out and then make a commitment that you're going to do that little bite-sized chunk on a daily basis, okay? And then what I want you guys to do is I want you to prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Somebody, anywhere, prove me wrong on my forum, okay? Show us the numbers, show us what you did, and say, you know what, you're wrong, it didn't work. I've never seen it happen, okay? No one has ever been able to do it because it does work. And this is what high-income people know that the average population doesn't know, unfortunately. This stuff, they don't teach this stuff in school. So, all right, when you have done that, when you've got it completed, post on the group that you've done it, okay? We'll have to figure out some sort of catchy title for this, so like the 10-minute task or something. And then who is the spreadsheet guru that's on the call? Anybody? Anybody on the call or on the webinar proficient in spreadsheets? That's not my forte. All right, that's fine. We can get somebody on Odesk or something that can do it, and we can get it bracketed out so that Jared could probably do it. He probably already has it done. I'll ask him.
Someone, BC99 said they can do it.
We'll get it broken out with.
BC99 said they could do it.
Okay. All right. So if you can do that, we just need to be able to adjust the variables based on somebody's closing ratio and the actual number that they're doing, and then, work it. That's all. I mean, work the plan. Does that make sense? And I'm just telling you. Listen, I'm just telling you. If you do that, and you're persistently working on your closing skills, it can't happen any other way because they're your numbers. I've never seen it happen any other way. Okay, and like I said, normally what ends up happening is in the first 3 to 6 months, you've blown through what the annual goal is. Now, how good would that feel? Would that feel good? If your goal is 100,000 and you make that in the first 6 months, that'd feel great, wouldn't it? That'd be awesome. So, all right, troops, you have got your mission. Don't let me down, because if you let me down, you're letting yourself down. You're letting your families down. Take 5 minutes. Take 10 minutes. Okay? Do this. Then post to the group that you've done it, because we know who you are, because I can see all of you right here. And Lisa's going to put together a spreadsheet for us to find out which one of you guys didn't do it, so I can embarrass you and lambaste you in the group. How's that? Is that some good motivation? That's what we call butt, meet, boot. There it is. All right? All right, listen, guys, thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it beneficial. If you did, please say a nice comment or do something or whatever it is, that all the social media stuff, add some people, whatever, and pay it forward. But other than that, have a wonderful afternoon, and let's go make some money.
All right, thanks a lot, Vincent.
Hey, my pleasure, guys.
Okay,
Hope that
you know
helps
what?
you.
I can create a spreadsheet. I just didn't know if you had already done one, but yeah, I know the formulas and whatnot, but I just need to see a template of, because like I said, I need Adobe Flash Player on my iPad, so I couldn't see your screen. So if you have that, I'll create a spreadsheet one.
Yeah, I'll post the video and the audio. The video will really help you because it's really easy once you see it visually.
Yeah, I can make one.
All right, I'm going to shut this down now. You guys have a great afternoon. And coaching clients, call the bridge because we're about to do a bunch of calls.